Yes, I am a psychotherapist and I work in private practice.
Yeah.
And if anybody's interested in finding me or has any questions, they can track me down at DeborahBrooks.ca.
Okay.
.ca.com is a spiritual painter.
Okay. Welcome to Twin Talks. Welcome to Twin Talks. I'm Nadia.
And I'm Nikki.
And today we're going to talk about how to identify someone who has a commitment issue in a relationship. I would like to welcome our special guest, psychotherapist Miss Deborah Brooks.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
So, tell me, how can someone identify someone who has a commitment problem in a relationship?
I think that's a good question. It might take many forms, but I think one would be where maybe initially everything's hot and heavy and you're all in. And then as things start to get serious, you notice they're sort of pulling back and it's confusing. I think that's the main hallmark is you're confused as to what's happening.
What might cause that confusion though? What causes somebody to be commitment phobic or having problems with commitment in a relationship?
It might be low self-esteem, a history of trauma, maybe have never seen any positive modeling of what a commitment can look like. And yeah, again, not having faith in their own decisions, maybe thinking there's something better out there. And what I mean by confused is the person is confused who's with somebody who's commitment phobic. Because they might say, no, I'm in, but we get a sense when somebody isn't meaning what they're saying.
So when you say pulling back, it's emotionally and psychologically as well as physically.
Yes.
Okay. So there's almost like a push and pull kind of relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay, so anybody who's in a relationship and you're feeling that sense of push and pull, be aware. Just be aware. So the question, you said that commitment phobia comes from a trauma. What types of traumas could this be?
One that jumps to mind for me, and I see the most often, is when somebody has a history of sexual abuse as a child. What is very common for these people as they get older is they are able to be psychologically intimate or physically intimate, but not both. So this can be, as a relationship gets closer, this can be very triggering for somebody with a history like that, and they need to pull back in some way for self-preservation because it's just too overwhelming.
Well, how do you, what would you say to people who are in these relationships and they're fully engaged and their partner is not? What's your thoughts on that?
I suppose what I would say is that if something is not working and again you're confused, is the person committed or not? That the answer to that is no, they're not. I would seek help for the couple, and if the individual that's commitment phobic isn't willing to do that, that's a pretty strong indicator that there's not a lot of room to work. So I like people to be practical also about relationships. If I want to get married and have kids or build a life with somebody, I might not have years to spend trying to coerce somebody into joining me to do that. So, help where you can, and knowing when to walk away.
So I had another question. So you were talking that the trauma was usually sexual abuse history, does it also come with people who have addictions like alcoholism or some sort of drug addiction? I'm just wondering.
Yes. So first of all, with addictions, often there's trauma as well, and that's where the addiction comes from. But also, somebody with addiction might want to keep a distance so they can keep doing what they want to do, right? So they might have, in a sense, almost a double life, where when they're with you, they can present really well, and then when they're not, they're actively engaged in their addiction. Yeah.
And the other question is, for the commitment phobe, what are they feeling when the person that they're with is getting closer to them? What is the feeling? Because I think a lot of people don't understand that commitment phobia really is a phobia. It's a real issue for people.
I actually this week did a session with somebody with that feeling, and it was overwhelmed, trapped, unable to, one day totally into the relationship, the next, this is the worst thing that could be happening to me. And so there was just no steadiness in how they were feeling. And you can't build anything on that.
It's
so
smothering.
yeah. So that feeling of being smothered, there's nowhere to go, and I'm all in or I'm all out. Yeah, cagey kind of.
That's a good word for it. Well, Deborah, you've done such a great job at making this issue of commitment phobia, or explaining it and making us all understand it. Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully we loved our episode on Twin Talks. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time on Twin Talks. Booyah! See you next time on Twin Talks. Booyah! You want to try that? Why don't we just go like that? Okay. Yeah.
Ready?
Okay.
For us, it was bloody tough.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know about anybody else, but it was. So, I'm sure it's different for now for the young people who are visible minorities or whatever.
Yeah.
Or even if you're gay or straight or whatever, right? At least there's a platform that they can do.
I think it's
You
genius,
don't
and
have to
whoever
worry
invented.
about being in the closet.
Yeah.
You can actually be free, and that's the beautiful thing about dating apps. You can be you.